Okay, imagine this for a second. What if, like, from when you were really young, you had two totally different people telling you about money? One saying, study hard, get the grades, land that safe, well-paying job. And the other one, totally different approach, talking about investing, building assets, making your money actually work for you. Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that idea. We're looking at a book that gets talked about a lot, sometimes causes a bit of debate, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Our main source for this is a really thorough review of the book. It does a great job laying out the core concepts, but also, importantly, covers the good points and some of the criticisms. So, our mission today, pretty straightforward. We want to unpack this whole two fathers idea and see how it flips conventional thinking about money. We'll pull out the key lessons on financial education and building wealth, and then, try to give you a balanced view where the book shines and maybe where it falls a bit short.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this deep dive, it's really for anyone who wants to get a quick handle on some key personal finance ideas, or maybe hear different takes on wealth, or even just have one of those aha moments about managing money. This isn't just dry theory, it's about thinking differently about financial freedom.
Okay, so let's dig into that central idea first, the two fathers. It really sets up everything else in the book. First, there's the poor dad. Now, this was Kiyosaki's actual father, highly educated, a professor, smart guy, but as Kiyosaki describes him, he was financially weak, always advising things like get a good job, save your money, look for good benefits, the traditional path.
Right, the path most of us are kind of taught to follow, security first.
Exactly. Then you have the rich dad. This wasn't his biological dad, but his best friend's father. Interestingly, this guy had much less formal schooling, but the book says he was an expert in practical financial know-how, investment, building assets.
He understood the game of money, is how Kiyosaki frames it.
Yeah, and his advice was completely different. Learn how money works. Make it work for you. Buy assets.
And what's so fascinating here, it's not just the different advice, is it? It's these two opposing philosophies about money. It's really about their core mindset. One focused on employment and safety nets, the other on, well, risk, ownership, and making capital grow. That contrast is the foundation.
Okay, so that's the setup. These two contrasting mindsets. Let's get into the core principles Rich Dad, Poor Dad really emphasizes. First big one, principle one, the critical need for financial education. Kiyosaki basically says schools teach us how to work for money, get a job, but they totally fail at teaching us how money itself works, or crucially, how to make it work for us. Financial literacy, he argues, isn't optional. It's essential for freedom.
Yeah, and that really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Like, if managing money is such a basic life skill, why is it so often ignored in, traditional education? It's a huge gap. And the book suggests maybe it's not entirely accidental, maybe keeps people on the treadmill, trading time for wages without understanding wealth building.
Right. And building directly on that is principle two, understanding assets versus liabilities. Now, this, for me, is where things get really interesting and maybe a bit controversial. Kiyosaki defines an asset very simply. Something that puts money in your pocket. And a liability takes money out of your pocket. Simple as that.
Super simple definition, but profound implications.
Totally. And his famous example, or maybe infamous, is the house. He argues your main home, if it's just costing you money each month, mortgage, taxes, upkeep of the country, it's actually a liability, not the asset people think it is.
And that definition is just pivotal. It completely challenges how most people think about what makes them wealthy. It shifts the focus from just owning stuff to owning stuff that generates income. It's all about cash flow.
Yeah.
So it forces you, the listener, to ask, what things in my life do I think are assets, but by this definition are actually liabilities draining my cash? It's a tough question sometimes.
It really is. And that leads us straight into principle three. Make money work for you, don't work for money. It sounds simple, but it's a huge mental shift, right? Most people are stuck in the cycle. Work hours, get paid, need more money, work more hours.
Rat race, as he calls it.
Exactly. But the rich, Kiyosaki says, they flip that. They figure out how to create systems or investments where their money is the thing doing the work.
Yeah.
Generating more money, often passively, while they're sleeping or on vacation.
Precisely. It's about moving beyond just trading your time for dollars. Your money needs to become an active participant, like an employee working for you 24/7. It's a fundamental shift from a scarcity view, always chasing the next paycheck, to an abundance view, building systems that attract wealth.
Okay, but maybe you're listening and thinking, that sounds amazing, but how do I even start that? Isn't investing risky? Well, that brings us right to principle four. The courage to take risks. The book is very upfront about this. Investing involves risk. There's no way around it. But Kiyosaki argues that the fear of losing money, that fear of the unknown, is actually what stops most people from ever building real wealth. You have to have the courage to act.
Yeah, and the psychological piece here is huge, isn't it? It's not just about knowing where to invest, it's about managing your own fear, your own doubt. Kiyosaki suggests it's about fundamentally changing your relationship with uncertainty, seeing risk not just as danger, but as, well, opportunity. You need to build emotional resilience alongside financial knowledge.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it connects nicely to the final core principle we pulled out, Principle 5, cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset. The book strongly suggests that getting truly wealthy just by being an employee is, well, extremely difficult, almost impossible for most. Real financial freedom, Kiyosaki argues, usually comes through building businesses or making smart investments. It's about becoming an owner, a creator, not just a worker bee.
It highlights the power of ownership, basically,
Yeah.
and the skill of seeing opportunities where others might just see problems. It's about leveraging your skills and the wider economy, moving beyond just that employee-employer relationship, thinking like a business owner, even if you have a day job.
So those are the big principles. Now let's talk about what the review we looked at said were the book's real strengths. It definitely praised the language, calling it simple and practical, makes complex stuff feel, understandable. Also the use of clarity through real examples. That helps things click for readers.
Yeah, those stories stick with you.
Right. And it undeniably fosters an entrepreneurial mindset, gets people thinking bigger, and overall it gives many readers a completely new perspective on money.
Absolutely. I think its strength really lies in how accessible it is. It has this power to just ignite something in people. It cuts through the jargon and speaks directly to that desire for something different financially. It provides that initial philosophical shift, which can be incredibly powerful.
But it's not perfect. And the review was fair about the criticisms too. Like any influential book, it has its detractors. One key point was that some of the advice, while bold, may not be suitable for everyone. It could be pretty high-risk stuff, he advocates sometimes.
Definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach.
No. And it's often seen as more motivational than detailed guidance. It gets you fired up, gives you the why, but maybe not always the step-by-step how.
Right, the practical implementation can be missing.
Yeah. And honestly, some readers find parts of it feel a bit repetitive. He does hammer home those core messages quite a bit.
Which, raises a really important question for anyone reading it. Motivation is crucial. That initial spark is vital. But how do you balance that excitement with the need for, practical, tailored advice? Especially given the risks. The book lights the fuse, maybe, but you probably need more detailed learning, maybe even personalized guidance for the actual journey.
That's a great point. So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, our listener, thinking about your own money journey?
Well, the review's overall take seems to be that Rich Dad, Poor Dad is incredibly valuable for offering a new mindset, a fresh way to look at money, earning, and spending. It serves as a really effective basic guide, whether you're an employee feeling stuck, someone thinking about starting a business, or just anyone curious about financial freedom. It makes you rethink your own finances fundamentally.
But maybe the single most critical takeaway from the review wasn't just about the ideas in the book. It was about what you do after reading it. The review really stressed the importance of taking immediate action. Don't just read it and dream. Start doing something, even small, related to investment and financial education. Move from just thinking to actually doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up a final question for you to maybe reflect on. Okay, beyond the theory, what's one small, concrete step you could take, maybe even this week, something to make your money work just a little bit harder for you? Think back to that asset versus liability thing. What could you look at differently in your own life, starting now?
So what really stood out to you from our discussion today? We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought, maybe sparked some curiosity, and hopefully encourages you to keep learning and keep taking action on your own path to financial understanding.